You don't wake up one morning and suddenly decide you want to be rich. It begins much earlier. A childhood friend gets a new bicycle while yours is secondhand. Your parents whisper about bills when they think you're asleep. Years later, you're scrolling through social media and see someone your age buying a house, launching a business, or traveling the world. Nothing changes in your own life during those few seconds, yet something inside you shifts. Suddenly, your progress feels smaller. Most people believe this feeling is about money. It rarely is. Money is simply the language your brain uses to describe something much older. Long before banks, salaries, or stock markets existed, humans lived in tribes where status often meant survival. Those who contributed more had better access to food, stronger alliances, and greater protection. Higher status wasn't about luxury. It was about staying alive.
Thousands of years later, civilization has transformed, but your brain hasn't changed nearly as much. It still asks the same ancient question: am I safe? Today, instead of measuring safety through food or shelter, your brain often measures it through wealth, career success, and social status. That's why earning more money feels exciting even before it arrives. It's why someone else's success can make your own achievements feel smaller, even when nothing about your life has actually changed. Money becomes more than numbers. It becomes proof. Proof that you're moving forward. Proof that you're valuable. Proof that you're not falling behind. But here's the question almost nobody asks. If money truly created lasting happiness, why do so many wealthy people continue chasing even more? Why does the finish line keep moving? Maybe because people don't actually want money. They want what they believe money will give them: freedom, security, respect, choice, time, control over their future. Notice something interesting. None of those things are money. Money is simply the bridge. The destination is emotional. That realization changes everything, because it suggests that people rarely chase wealth itself. They're chasing a future version of themselves, the version who sleeps peacefully without worrying about bills, the version who never feels embarrassed saying no because they can't afford something, the version who believes they've finally become enough. But hidden beneath that hope is another emotion: fear. Not just the fear of being poor, the fear of limitation, the fear of dependence, the fear of watching opportunities disappear because they cost more than you can afford. That fear doesn't begin in adulthood. It begins in childhood. Children don't understand economics. They understand emotions. They notice when parents argue about money. They hear phrases repeated over and over. Money doesn't grow on trees. People like us have to work harder. Rich people are different. Years later, we think we're making rational financial decisions, but we're often following stories written long before we earned our first paycheck. That's why two people can receive the exact same opportunity and react completely differently. One sees possibility, the other sees risk. One negotiates confidently, the other settles for less. The difference is often not intelligence, it's identity. Your brain doesn't care whether a story is true, it cares whether it's familiar. If you've spent years believing you're bad with money, your mind quietly searches for evidence to confirm that belief. Every mistake becomes proof. Every success feels like luck. Over time, the identity creates the behavior, and the behavior strengthens the identity. Money isn't the center of this cycle. Identity is. This explains why some people earn fortunes, yet continue feeling financially insecure. The money changed, their identity didn't. Now add another force to the equation: comparison. Long ago, our ancestors compared themselves with a few dozen people in their tribe. Today, your brain compares itself with millions. You open your phone intending to relax. Minutes later, someone announces a promotion. Another celebrates a profitable business. Another posts photos from a luxury vacation. None of these events affect your life, yet your emotional state changes. Because your brain is still trying to estimate where you stand within the tribe. The problem is that social media rarely shows ordinary life. It shows carefully selected highlights.
You're comparing your everyday reality with someone else's best moments. No human brain evolved to process that every single day. Then something even stranger happens. Every time you reach a goal, your brain quietly moves the finish line. The salary you once dreamed about becomes normal. The car you couldn't stop thinking about becomes just another way to get to work. The excitement fades. Not because the achievement wasn't meaningful, but because your brain quickly adapts to its new reality. So the real question isn't whether ambition is good or bad. Ambition has built businesses, created inventions, and transformed lives. The deeper question is, who is driving your ambition? Are you building a meaningful future, or are you trying to outrun an old fear? Those two people can earn the same amount of money while living completely different lives. One is creating, the other is escaping. And unless you recognize the difference, success itself can become another form of anxiety. Perhaps that's why the people who seem richest aren't always the ones with the largest bank accounts. They're often the ones who stopped asking money to answer questions it was never designed to solve. Because some forms of confidence, some forms of peace, and some forms of self-worth cannot be deposited into a bank account. Money can improve your lifestyle. It can create opportunities. It can reduce stress. It can buy time. But it cannot decide whether you're enough. The irony is that the more desperately people chase wealth to prove their worth, the more they allow wealth to define it. But those who understand themselves approach money differently. They still work hard. They still invest. They still pursue ambitious goals. Not because they're trying to fill an emptiness, but because creating value has become part of who they are. So the next time you feel that familiar desire to become rich, ask yourself a different question. Not, how much money do I want? But, what do I believe money will finally give me? Because the answer to that question may reveal something far more valuable than your next financial goal. It may reveal the story you've been living your entire life. And the moment you can see that story, you finally gain the power to rewrite it.